Small suburban shopping areas around the Glendale Supercentre are doing it tough.
In the smaller shopping centres, they're saying that their figures are down 20 to 30% already.
The Supercentre has only been open for 3 weeks, and on Sunday another blow for the small operators, with the Supercentre opening to Sunday trading granted permission through the state government. Graham Poole from the Small Business Group has called for talks with the Minister, but as yet he's had no reply.
And we don't believe that the system as it's running at the moment is fair. The small trader cannot operate 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
The small business people have become so angry they're now planning possible industrial action. That could mean the closing down of their shops for 1 day in the areas around the Glendale Supercentre. In Cardiff, the local Chamber of Commerce is fighting back with a campaign telling shoppers they'll get better service in their shops. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Play fair rather than warfare. According to Dr. John Irvine, this is the key to developing a happy family. He's spent thousands of hours watching children at play and analysing the dynamics of the family environment. He's now in town for a workshop called Discipline with a Grin.
My idea is to share some tactics that actually enable parents to have fun with their kids, and at the same time they don't have to go soft on discipline.
The dynamics of the family unit are changing. Dr. Irvine hopes the workshop will help build the skills and attitudes necessary to be a positive and effective parent. He has a difficult task ahead, trying to convince parents that discipline can be fun.
Discipline doesn't have to be a naughty word. It doesn't have to be a nasty word. It just means that we start to look at ways in which we can make the family function as a unit.
Covering tots to teens, the workshop will take a light-hearted look at ways of managing children.
Discipline is critical, but you can do it with a grin. You can do it playfully, and that bonds the generations together.
Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
All of the sewage effluent from the tunes, of course, of the corporation will find that in competition. In regards to CPI, we do not support particularly similar reforms of the electricity and natural gas industries and CPI, which concerns a basket of commodities which really do not include in the immediate past year. The Chairman's submission for those concerns will be addressed, I believe, as our submission. There is a need to provide an overall benefit to the community with respect to the reform of the water devices. Process of others, certainly the big savings that we've been able to generate have been pretty close to the
The Cessnock Club only has 30 members, but its archers fill a fifth of the Australian team. Adam Foster, Grant Elsley, along with Marie and Ray Sweeney, are in the 20-person squad to contest the World Championships in the United States in August.
Yeah, I think it's a very big achievement for such a small club in this region.
With the guidance of Peter Smith, Cessnock not only has some outstanding marksmen, but one of the youngest. Adam Foster is only 15, but along with his colleagues earned his trip to America after a strong performance at the Nationals last weekend in Orange.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself putting all the work into the Australian team and getting picked.
Adam's got a very big future. He's done well over the last couple of months, and to be selected onto an Australian team at the age of 15 is a very big achievement.
And another junior also excelling in open competition is 10-pin bowler Amanda Bradley. She's just been selected for the World Youth Titles in Hong Kong in August. Bradley will also take part in the Senior Asian Zone Titles in Korea.
The work is planned to extend the Sydney-Newcastle freeway from the Mimai area west of Newcastle to John Renshaw Drive near Beresfield. However, much of the construction work has ground to a halt following the discovery of Aboriginal artefacts in the area. An archaeological survey conducted during the initial excavations found a number of old Aboriginal stone flakes and tools. The areas in which they were found have now been protected from any further work. More than 5,000 artefacts have been discovered on the site, most of them from the one pit. The Roads and Traffic Authority is now waiting for a full report from the National Parks and Wildlife Service. The project was scheduled to be completed by late 1998 at a cost of $57 million. Emma Siossian, NBN News.
If you take your car to an average garage, you are protected against bad work by the Motor Vehicle Repair Industry Council. The independently funded body was created through an Act of State Parliament 15 years ago, with representatives from both the industry and consumers.
It's cut out a lot of the backyarders, and it's also increased the status of the industry and the confidence of the consumer.
But now the Department of Fair Trading wants to bring the council under its control. Major motoring organisations say that would put the industry in reverse, with 3 states about to copy the New South Wales example. It says government control would also erode consumer confidence and public funds.
This was all covered, self-funded, nothing for the taxpayer. Now we presume that it will go into the under her area and then be paid eventually by the taxpayers.
Hundreds of car repairers are expected to meet at Newcastle's Waratah Mayfield Ex-Services Club tonight to prepare a battle plan to stop the takeover.
The old story, which is probably very apropos to our industry, is the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we're going to do a lot of squeaking.
A spokesperson for Fair Trading Minister Phalo Poe says a review is underway. It will deliver its final judgment in June, but the department maintains any changes will make the body more effective and more convenient for customers. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
The Port Stephens area was abuzz with the news this morning. Many people perhaps wishing the luck could have gone their way. The winner, a 44-year-old man from the Port Stephens area, is keeping a low profile, today travelling to Sydney to claim the money. He told New South Wales Lotteries he doesn't expect his life to change much. When asked how he chose the winning numbers, he said 7, 14 and 28 are the great milestones in life, while 44 is a tribute to his late mother. The $10 million First Division prize was sold by Rogers News Agency in Nelson Bay. The store is expecting a boost in trade, hoping others might now be encouraged to buy a ticket.
You always talk about actually winning $10 million, but I suppose the next best thing is to sell $10 million.
It's the highest ever individual prize recorded by Oz Lotto, the winner fighting off almost 2 million other entries. Emma Siossian, NBN News.
For maritime enthusiasts, the McCain is an 8,500-tonne Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer which entered service in July 1994. Her crew of 300 is under the control of Commander Michael Vitali during a 6-month routine deployment away from home port Pearl Harbor. The destroyer recently left the Arabian Gulf, where she was involved in the enforcement of United Nations sanctions against Iraq. On her way to the Australian east coast, she stopped over in Fremantle. While in Newcastle, the McCain will be open for inspection over the weekend and on Anzac Day.
In recent times, the wing has always been a trouble spot for the Knights, and just 6 rounds into the Optus Cup, a third player will wear the number 5 jumper this weekend. Keith Beecham is the latest recruit, the former Mariner confident he is the man for the job.
One of the main reasons I came to Newcastle because I knew there was a bit of problems out there on the wing, and I just hope I can solve the problem from now this weekend.
His Mariner teammates Brad Godden and Robbie McCormack have also made a big impact upon returning to the Knights. Both were always going to make first grade, Godden's inclusion earlier than expected.
Yeah, I've been a bit lucky. Jimmy's has an injury, so I've got a bit of an opportunity there.
Ainscough is now likely to be out for 4 to 6 weeks with ankle damage. But the new blood believe it won't take much to turn the poor start around.
I think it's only a matter of a win, and things will change, enthusiasm will change then. We only need a win to get them going, I think.
Yeah, I think it's only little things just from watching them, but I think if we do those things right, I think we'll get a bit of a roll on.
Newcastle coach Craig Higgins had little time for real estate this morning, preoccupied with the thought of the treble.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been done for a while. I think everyone's been saying since the early 60s. So the boys have got a lot to play for. We've trained well all week, so hopefully we'll come away with it on Sunday.
Leading that charge will be captain Trevor Crowe, who'll be playing his 26th game for Newcastle. An untiring campaigner for the team, Crowe, now 35, still has his sights set on countryside and refuses to concede this may be his last year.
No rash predictions at this early stage. I'll just take this game on Sunday. If there's any rewards after that, well and good, and I'll assess 97 in 96's off-season.
Yeah, well, Crowe, he's definitely in the veteran class now. He won't like me saying that, but no, he's been playing well. He always leads from the front, and I don't know if he'll go on again next year, but it's certainly, if he hasn't got the plans to go on, it'll be a good way for him to go out.
He'll be a key to Newcastle hopes against Western Division, and if he chooses to continue next season, the coach, who is 2 years his junior, says he'll get a fair go.
You've got to show him a bit of respect and go easy on him at training, because he does get a bit tired these days, but we look after him and carry him, so he's pretty right.
The Williams River is one of the Hunter region's chief sources of water, serving both urban and rural dwellers. The Healthy Rivers Commission, set up in January this year, is designed to find better ways of managing the waterway. Today's public meeting at Dungog RSL was the first of a number of formal hearings being run by the Commission.
The Williams River is the first river. It comes under a lot of pressure because it's the water supply source for a lot of Newcastle, and yet it's a very healthy, pristine river in many of its reaches. So the question is how to improve those areas that need restoration.
The Environment Protection Authority says steady population growth in the Dungog area is placing increasing pressure on the Williams River. The EPA says new pollution controls need to be considered to maintain a clean water supply. One method is to control river flows to reduce the chance of algal blooms. Another is to restrict water use, an idea strongly rejected by local dairy farmers who rely on the river for their irrigation needs and also as a drinking spot for cattle.
We certainly want to see the environment do well, and we're all behind seeing a plan put in place, but we need the right plan put into place, and as it stands at the moment it's going to drastically affect a lot of dairy farmers.
Meanwhile, a new land care project was today launched on the Paterson River. Named Habitat 25, the scheme is designed to preserve the quality of the catchment throughout the next 25 years, particularly to reduce the problem of blue-green algae. BP Australia has provided more than $4,000 to get the project started. Emma Ossian, NBN News. Nestled in the valleys of the Upper Hunter, the Hilldale community has long given its support to the Newcastle City Mission. The Hilldale Church was the venue for this year's donation of baby clothing, continuing a 27-year tradition. Hours of work has gone into the clothes, which will now go to young mothers in the region who are in need of some extra help.
We make and knit things for layouts for our new mothers that come into the mission, and yes, that's our aim.
Workers from the City Mission travelled to Hilldale to receive the gift, joining in a celebratory church service.
My Lord, what a morning! My Lord, what a morning!
The conditions were nearly perfect for driving. A straight stretch of road and good visibility in the middle of the day.
About 10:55 a.m. this morning, a northbound Torres has collided with a southbound semi-trailer.
The 20-year-old Sydney driver was killed by the impact of the collision on the Pacific Highway just south of the Tea Gardens turnoff. It's believed he fell asleep at the wheel.
Perhaps in this occasion, fatigue might be a major factor. It might mean that people have got to take more concern with taking breaks and not travelling long hours without rest periods.
Remarkably, his 22-year-old female passenger escaped with cuts and bruises. She was airlifted to Newcastle's John Hunter Hospital as a precaution. The truck driver, whose evasive actions helped to save the young woman's life, was shaken but not hurt in the accident. Traffic was delayed for several hours as the road was cleared. Today's crash has added to what was already a horror week on the region's roads. 8 people have now died since Sunday. 4 people from the one family were killed on Sunday when this car was hit head-on by a bus that crossed lines near Minmay, west of Newcastle. Hours later, another 3 people were killed south of Newcastle when their car veered off a country road and slammed into bush. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Well, I really think it's a draw shot needed to dead draw the shot.
He's got to get there. Just failed. Drive. He's down set as it stands. He needs to make contact. Well, he's given them a bluff.
Yeah, Wyn Richards is actually fighting to stay in the set. Raymer done. He'll be trying to wrap up the match on the next end. And that's a wonderful correction from Wyn Richards.
Before tip-off, one of the Falcons and NBL's most outstanding players will be honoured. Michael Johnson's number 5 singlet will be retired out of respect for MJ's remarkable record, which spanned 364 games. He averaged 21 points throughout his career, an achievement many of the Falcons recruits are now trying to emulate.
And he's probably, if not the best shooter Australia's ever produced, and I mean, he's a great person to look forward to. I mean, and to follow in his footsteps. So I've got a long way to go though yet.
Armfield made a good start last weekend against Perth, coming on in the second quarter and lighting up, reminiscent of how Johnson swung many matches in the Falcons' favour. He'll need to continue that form if the Falcons are to dodge the bullets.
The feeling we get from them that they're just, they're easing into each game, and which is, a great feeling, but it could be, dangerous for teams. So we're going to be on our toes tonight to try and stop that.
Giant Matt Lowe will take his place tonight despite fears he may succumb to an ankle injury.
Dirt was flying and engines were roaring as some of the best Australian and American off-road drivers test drove the track at the Newcastle Motordrome. American off-road champion Jerry Welchel is one of the competitors in tomorrow night's Grand Prix. Attracting crowds of up to 120,000 people in America, stadium off-road racing is slowly growing down under.
Well, I'm just here for the fun of it, Mark. With the sponsors and stuff, we're going to get out there and do a good job for them, and hopefully we can, build the sport.
Pickup trucks, motorcycle quads and wheel-standing dune buggies are some of the vehicles racing tomorrow night. Australian buggy champion Darren Wells expects 12,000 people will be at the Newcastle Motordrome to watch the high-flying action of some of the world's best.
This type of racing is it's very fast and close racing. It's more or less contact sport of racing, and anybody that comes tomorrow night will see probably one of the best racing spectacles they've seen for a long time.
Ruth Hipwell lives at the St Catherine Nursing Home in Waratah, where she today had plenty of friends to help celebrate a century of life. But while a big crowd turned out to honour Ruth, the birthday girl wasn't so impressed with the 100-year tag.
Oh, well, I don't like being 100. I like to be young and frisky.
There are a million things you could ask a person with 100 years on our planet, but there's that one query that just can't help coming up. What is the secret of such longevity?
I just didn't do things I shouldn't do. I always tried to be nice to people, and I didn't, not quarrelsome or anything.
Earlier in the week, the Tascott 20-year-old had won the 50 and 100 metre events and last night led all the way for the hat-trick. He'll contest the 100, 200 and medley relay at Atlanta, a staggering effort after he was written off just months ago.
I reach deep down and my coach and I come through.
Also summoning plenty of courage, Sydney driver Wayne Attard at the Motordrome's off-road Grand Prix last night. While some spent time on their back, Attard hounded Richard Bennett all the way in the final, stealing victory on the line. And in Mount Gambier, South Australia, Newcastle's Michael Guest has finished third in round 5 of the National Championship, won by Possum Bourne. To real horsepower and the running of the New South Wales Sires Stakes at Maitland, with Admiral Corralta set out a raging favourite. Minesweeper upstaging the favourite with Allwood's Chatton third.
At first glance, the plans for the historic Lambton Colliery site sound perfect. Some rundown buildings to be restored and redeveloped into a community centre with swimming pool, gym and tennis court. But there are some underlying concerns about who'll have access to the facilities. Council suspects they may be reserved for owners of the adjoining subdivision.
Council would very much like to see the broader community have access to these buildings because this heritage does belong to the people of Redhead as it exists now.
Another worry is that the 130-lot subdivision may include only large blocks designed to attract wealthy buyers. Lake Macquarie City Council wants people from a range of economic backgrounds to have access to the land.
It would be preferable that this new subdivision fitted in with the existing community of Redhead and was an extension of Redhead rather than an exclusive enclave with a them and us type end result.
A development control plan has specified Council's requirements for the development to blend with the adjoining Redhead village. Laura Saperstein, NBN News. It's been a short but bitter fight. Residents of the new Forest Hill estate fearful the lifestyle they've bought is being destroyed even before they've begun to enjoy it. Lake Macquarie City Council last night voted to rezone a neighbouring 7-hectare site from rural to residential. Residents of Forest Hill say that will be the end of their forest setting.
We might as well not call it Forest Hill, we might as well call it the Hill.
But their main objection to the rezoning is that the two estates would share a main access road, bringing construction traffic past their doorsteps.
Very noisy. It wake you early in the morning. At 7 they start coming and they go all day.
They also say the increased traffic will be dangerous for children using the estate's park, which is accessible only by crossing the road. The residents say they've lost a battle but not the war. They'll now turn their attention to lobbying for an alternative access road. Laura Saperstein, NBN News.